Aura as your backstage pass to smooth operations. This modern management solution reduces admin time, streamlines bookings, and drives profits. Receive a special offer at aurasalonwear.com, referral code PBA.
Welcome to Beyond Beauty, the Professional Beauty Association's podcast, where we take a deeper look into the minds and hearts of the amazing professionals who make up the professional beauty industry. I'm your host, Leslie Perry. With me today, Lucas Kemper, founder, CEO of Dandymen. But that's just one role. I mean, there's so many. We need to dig, there's so many things that you've done in the industry, but thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So take us back. I mean, you've been in the industry for a little while, started off in barbering and education, and now, we'll talk about this progression. Now, brand founder and owner and developing all kinds of things for the professionals as well. So where did it all start?
It all started whenever I decided to go into hair. I think it was like 2015. I started in cosmetology. So I worked in the women's side first. And then shortly after that, I decided that I wanted to be more in the barbering side. I liked more of the shorter technical haircuts. And so I decided to go back to barbering school and get my barber license and pursued that. And then, went into education. So got, connected with John Mosley. And then Hattori Hanzo Scissors started there. And then now I'm with Andis Clippers with John Mosley. And then in 2020, founded my own barbershop. And at the same time, there's no better time to create a product line after working with other product companies that were professional in the industry, helping them kind of test and try their products. I learned a ton. So through, COVID shutdown, started developing my own product and came out with a collection of 5 products that we used in the barbershop. And then from then it just rapidly expanded. And the last thing we ever expected was it to be at this level, but I'm not going to slow down the growth because it's been a tremendous experience and just the invaluable, education that has come along with it. So
if I hear you correctly, you said the pandemic is what started, gave you time to start this. And I think some of us look at the pandemic and think, oh, what a negative thing. But for you, you took that as something positive and you've grown it exponentially.
Yeah, I see a lot of people that kind of sat there anxious, and that was me for the first couple of days. And so I was like, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna just go crazy. So no better time than, all the time in the world through those couple, 3-4 months to really dive in and really figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to provide to clients at the barbershop that I was opening. And so we got started. Unfortunately, developing product wasn't 2 or 3 months long. So I didn't have products as soon as I opened the shop. So I was still carrying some of the products that I was using previously. But shortly after that, about 6-7 months, we got the first round of iterations that we got to test and develop inside of the shop. So, just that, I look at it super optimistically. That 3-month, 4-month window really gave me the time to sit down and plan it out and set the KPIs of how I was going to hit certain benchmarks, but then also kind of think about what the industry as a whole in the barbering world, what they use on a day-to-day basis and how we could make it not only outperform what was performed or out there already, but also deliver more in a price-conscious way as well.
What does it take to think you can develop a whole brand and launch it? Because we get a lot of members who ask us, I have this idea for a brand and I don't know where to start, or am I crazy for thinking I should do something like that? So what advice do you have about what does it really take to develop this?
Yeah, so it's funny because I just did a branding class down in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. And so it's kind of based over the same thing of how to start. So my problem when I first got started is, one, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I've learned the hard way multiple times through the journey. But I was very short-minded. I only set my goals for maybe 12 months instead of looking at 24, 32, or 46 months out, even farther than that, right? So not knowing if my name that I originally started with could be trademarked was a big issue. So always going and finding the name that you want to do and then going and searching a trademark database, because eventually if you're going to scale and grow, you're going to have something trademarked, because the last thing you want to do is be using someone else's name or typeface or logo design or anything like that. So really that's kind of the foundation of, figuring out your lane, where you want to be at, where you want to go, and the product selection that you want to have. So being on this, everything would be cosmetics, So then just figuring out if you're able to register your name. And then once that's done, then you got to create an LLC and get that figured out. And then from there, it's just mapping out, what offerings are you going to do? That's the missed gap in the industry. And that's kind of what we did, is like, we figured out where we wanted to be, and our missed gap was the price. Like, that was kind of the price, as far as like, it's a blend between, mass consumer and select pro. So we're like right there in the middle. So we're joining those two together. So it's readily available for everybody to be able to purchase it.
How do you, and maybe this is something like that I feel, or maybe others feel this way, like there are a lot of products, right? And there's a lot, it could be like a very saturated market, like depending on, hair care in general. What made you feel like, but I really strongly believe that there's this missing thing and I can fill it? Because that scares me to think,
Yeah, no, it is scary. It is scary for sure. So having a loyal client following. So I used to travel and open up barbershops. And when I finally got settled in Northwest Arkansas in 2018, just rapidly built a clientele, and they followed and they were super loyal. So I'm kind of bouncing the idea off, from them and seeing what they thought about it before I ever got started. And I really was just honing in on their pain points, because ultimately I'm not my customer, right? So if I think something's really cool
Yeah.
and I want to do it, that's one thing, but getting in the opinions of people that are actually the consumers of what you're trying to sell and getting their perspective, that I think that was the differentiating factor between, something being successful and something flopping. So, starting out, hey, do you like the scents of all these kind of products coming out? Do you like the universal scents that are out on the market right now? Like, what would you prefer to use every day? What price do you feel comfortable with paying on a day-to-day basis versus, going out and really spending on, one or two products. My goal was to have them at least purchase like one or two products every haircut, get them to try something new. So at the price point, like figuring out where we wanted to play, we were able to turn volume instead of just margin. And that's kind of where I wanted to play in, to put it in everybody's hands. And then going into the performance, right? So we test all of our formulations on thousands of clients before they ever are solidified. So from ideation to creation is all done within the shop. And then whenever somebody sees it out on a shelf or in someone else's barbershop or salon, it's gone through rigorous testing between, 10 to 12 barbers and then stylists on the Cosmo side as well. So all of our shampoos and conditioners and everything have already done that. So that's kind of where I wanted to play, is built by professionals for professional use, but developed, and perfected on consumer feedback.
I love that. And I know when we first talked about the brand and your concept with the putting the professional in the center too, that's so important in our industry, and how you're making sure that there is that professional component. If you could talk about that. I mean, I just think it's something we sometimes forget about, like when it's products and we're talking about consumers and the end user of it, but really you really are focused on the pros too.
Yes. Yeah, so my main focus is professional. I'm a professional by trade. I love the community. I mean, from the Cosmo side to the barbering side, everyone's playing with hair at the end of the day. Like, I still put hair on the floor because it's in my DNA. Like, I just love that, the aspect of the industry. But I wanted to be able to provide, the good quality product that outperforms, maybe some others on the market. I know there's really good ones out there. I still use some. But I wanted to be able to give back to the community, because I didn't have anybody giving back to me whenever I was kind of coming up or showing me or mentoring me, until I met John. And he always said, there's one line that I was hung on to, like, stay humble and remain hungry, right? So I wanted to have that mindset going into it, but be able to provide more kind of a mentorship or even a roadmap for barbers or stylists that are wanting to get into a different part of the industry, to be able to join forces. So like, as we're starting the ambassador program, we just got John to come on. He just signed. Super exciting.
He's a huge friend of PBA, John. So
yes,
congratulations.
Yeah.
What a great
Yeah.
partnership for you.
Yeah. So we are officially working together full time now, which is super exciting, starting in September. But just being able to help guide, some of the new influence in the industry, as some of the old kind of influence starts to move out as they get different jobs in the industry and things like that. We wanted to create a place, that grows, those small individuals into, flourishing barbers or educators or stylists.
And I love too that you don't just talk about barbers, you talk about hairstylists, cosmetologists, and it's a family thing for you because your wife
Yes.
is a stylist and a salon owner. So I mean, products are getting tested in both environments.
Yes. Yeah. So all of the stuff has been tested by her too. So anytime that I'm like thinking about something like the shower oil, for example, she was kind of like, I don't know about that. And so I kind of put it together and then gave it to her to try. And she's like, absolutely. And then Lord behold, like or not our color shampoo, but just our clarifying shampoo and thickening shampoo. Like she was using it on her clients, with the Vivids or just a fresh color, and it didn't wash out anything. So she's like, hey, just so you know, your formulation is color safe. Like you guys should market this or go to market with it. Unfortunately, we did not because the packaging was already solidified. But we have those talking points that we can branch out to stylists and be like, hey, try this. And her being in the Cosmo world currently and me being in there, in the past and being in the barber world, at the end of the day, the only thing that's different about hair is the curl pattern and texture. Like the makeup is the exact same. So whether, you have ethnic hair, different hair types, and ethnicities, it's the same, just the kinkiness of the curls or the density, or fine hair, to thick hair, it's all the same, men and women. So that's kind of how we wanted to, establish ourselves as well as just kind of a unisex, all-inclusive, hair care line.
It's like you're walking the walk and talking the talk. It's not something you just say, like you live that brand promise of being professional focused and taking that insight that you learn every day from working in the salon and in the barber shop.
Yes, absolutely. It's built into the 4 pillars of the company. Like that's the one we stand on is we will always remain professional first and foremost.
I love that. And I have to say, I always try to like go dig into the person of our conversations, but just a plug for it because thank you for sending me some of the products to try. But the body oil, I'm so glad that you listened to your wife because that is like probably my favorite product, and short behind that is the body wash, and the scents are amazing, and I love it. So I can't wait I know we were talking before about some of the things coming out and some of the cool new scents. But if you haven't tried any of these products, I just recommend just try some, smell some. The scents are so divine.
Yes, that is one of our key players is the silent signature, is the scent of the product. If you just smell it once and you smell it somewhere else, like you just know, like we'll be walking around because it's big where I'm from because everybody knows about it. So everybody's using it. So you'll walk, in a restaurant or buy somebody at a store and you'll just smell it and you're like,
smell it.
that smells like Dandymen. So
where did the name come from?
So kind of, playing on, the men's grooming and what a Dandyman is. It's just somebody that really cares about like how they look in their appearance. And so one of the things that we were built on is, you look good, you feel good, you play good. And if like we just want to build like courage for people to go out and have the ability to handle whatever comes their way. And so that's kind of where the Dandyman came from. That's the essence of where our timeless packaging is, like that 1920s, 1930s era. So we just kind of went with that. And luckily it wasn't trademarked.
It wasn't trademarked, so you could use
it. Yes.
As you're learning on the business side is very important for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Coming from the hair world over to the business world, the learning curve was massive for sure. Being in the hair world, you're just kind of doing the exact same thing every day, just different, per se. But over here, it's just a completely different shift. Like you're battling things that I never even thought I would have in my life.
How do you make that shift? Because you do still have hands and hair, but probably not as much. Do you miss it? Do you wish you had more band, or you're like liking this new part of your career too?
So I had hands and hair every single day up until about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And then when that switched, it went from like fully booked every single day. I say fully booked. It was from like 7 a.m. to like 2 in the afternoon because then everything in the afternoon was Dandyman stuff. But when I switched it over from doing 1 or 2 a week, it was almost like an identity crisis. Like I lost who I was. And so, almost like a depressive state, if we're just going to be transparent and vulnerable about it, because I didn't like everything that I was so used to doing and enjoyed so much was just gone. And so trying to figure out where I was going to go and what I was going to fill my day with, was very frustrating because, you're almost looking for things to do instead of like planning out, because in hair, you're planned out. Your schedule's there, how many people you're doing, what you're doing. And then being proactive on the other side, you really have to like game plan, the night before or the week before.
How do you stay inspired and motivated to keep pushing?
I would say the thing that keeps me going the most would be the feedback that we get, not only from like our customer base in the barbershop next door, but all of the emails and or check-ins from the website or social media accounts, just talking about like how great it is. They're so happy they found it, and they're making suggestions now too, which is super rad. So cologne is one of the biggest ones we've got.
I was gonna say, I'm a big scent person. So if you start making scents, like, I'm lining up to get
it. Yeah. Colognes and then candles, believe it or not, are a huge one for a hair care company.
Yep, definitely.
Like candles, but
I'm in for that.
It's really just the consumer that keeps it going, because if there was no like positive feedback or, want or willing to purchase, it wouldn't be worth it at the end. And so really I'm just doing it to create new products and give them what they're asking for. Because like I said before, if it's everything that I'm wanting and it's not wanted out there, then it's just going to be a big flop.
What are your hopes and vision for the future of professional beauty? I mean, I know it's a big question, but you're looking into the future. What are your hopes and dreams?
It's a good one. So what we're kind of talking about and planning now is breaking out into, I wouldn't say segregated markets, but offering, some unique scents, more of a unisex scent for the Cosmo side or the feminine side, or the masculine side that just doesn't like that more like woodsy kind of spice scent, but then also kind of branching out and going to a unique scent for the masculine side, or the people that like more of that woodsy spice scent that we were talking about earlier. But joining trade shows, like we're really getting big on education, as John Mosley is a huge educator in the industry, and I educate as well. Like we really want to pour into the education of styling and the product's abilities in styling, but going a little bit deeper into the actual DNA of the product and what like makes product work for different hair types, textures, and densities, and curl patterns and lengths. So, breaking this all out, we're going to have, consumers education, but then also pro education right beside it, because we feel like that's super important. And it's kind of a missed market to be able to go get that education for free. And so that's what we're going to do, is just being able to provide education on styling and how-tos with certain products.
And I love that, because it really helps build confidence in the professionals to take that spot in their clients' lives of being the expert and the professional and helping consumers understand. You can watch YouTube, you can watch TikTok, but really the expert is the person who touches your hair, who touches you when they're styling you.
Yeah, and if you could give your client like that perfect style, when they leave, the confidence that you see your customer leave with is great. But then also you're able to start performing new styles and new techniques with different lengths too through that.
Awesome. All right. So what is Lucas today? Advice that you have for Lucas 10 years ago, 15 years ago, young Lucas, kid Lucas even?
Nothing is too big. Yeah, I think my mind limited me on the belief of what I could do or could achieve. I think it's just kind of like that ego thing that is ingrained in us from our adolescent years growing up, and being able to see, every kind of fence come down along the way, or when times get stressful, being able to kind of pursue it and push through it and seeing what's on the other side. I would say that's probably the one thing I wish I could have told myself sooner, instead of being, 31, 32 years old and finally figuring it out.
What helped you push past that?
My
I think
wife,
a lot of us have your wife, the support system around you. I love that.
Yeah, it's huge. She's big into human design and Enneagram and like all of that self-help. I say self-help stuff. But, just how the mind works. There's a book that I'm reading right now. It's you can't believe everything you think. And it's a huge pivot in, my mindset. It's going between thoughts and actual thinking. And so having that kind of factor to go between has definitely helped, unmuddy the waters. But
well, before we wrap up, I always like to ask this fun question. What decade? Do you have a decade that's your favorite for the style, whether it's the hair or the fashion or the vibe of that particular decade? And if what decade would you go back to if you could?
my favorite era in history is the 1920s. I
Ah,
love the
yeah,
fashion.
mine too.
So I love, yeah,
Same.
from every bit of fashion, from women's fashion to men's fashion to the
Yeah.
hairstyles. They were just so good. Like the pin waves and the curls and the
Oh,
haircuts for men.
yeah, the
It's just
finger waves. I
timeless.
love a good finger
Yeah.
wave. I love the smoky eye, the bold lip,
Yep.
yes. I feel,
Yep.
well, and that's your brand, right? Like you're bringing that out through the brand, the aesthetic.
Yeah. The everything about it. You can watch The Great Gatsby and it's just, everything's just so captivating because everything was just so flamboyant as far as like the clothes or the jewelry, the hair, the hats, the scarves, the shoes. So definitely my favorite era.
We could
What
throw a
about you?
20s
And yours is
gala.
yours
No,
is the
mine's the
20s?
20s, totally the 20s. We need to throw a 20s gala. I'll put it out there. I don't
Let's
know,
do it.
raise some money for some PBA charities. We could do
We
it.
could. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Dandymen will definitely be involved. We'll be there.
Okay. I don't know what I'm committing to, but nothing is too big. That is what I am committing to my memory as well. So as we wrap, any final words of wisdom, advice that you have for those who are listening, watching?
I would just say whatever you want to do, just figure out how you can get it done and take it by piece. Eat it one bite at a time. Don't look at the whole big picture. Start at the one you can do now and then just keep, chipping away at it. That's how big things get done.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. We could go on and on. I could take up your whole day, but I just really appreciate you taking the time today and sharing with us and great advice for others in the industry. And thank you what you're doing for professionals. And can't wait to see you in education and other things that we get to do together. It's really is a pleasure.
Yes, it's been a pleasure for us too. Super excited to join forces with PBA and to get everything rolling for sure.
Can't wait. All right. Take care and we will see you soon.
Awesome.
Step up your salon game with Aura Salonware, the preferred software for smarter scheduling, seamless payments, and happy clients. That way, you can focus on the style, not the stress. Receive a special offer at aurasalonware.com, referral code PBA.